How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massive Beer Reviews back with a little bit of a IPA hopeful goodness in the form of Ecliptic Brewing. It's their Vega. First time happiness. It is from Ecliptic Brewing. They send all their stuff off to me. We really don't get it around where I live, so pretty much everything I do from these guys comes from the brewery. But this is something a little bit unique. I've had beers from them in the IPA realm before. A lot of sours, a lot of stouts, stuff like that, and some have been hit, some have been very much kind of in the middle of the road, and there's been some misses, and there's been some awesome hits too. The one, I think it was the Russian River Club they did, was out of this world. One of my favorite beers of last year. I think it was one of my best ofs. But anyway, this is kind of their experimental IPA series. Now, that's not unique in and of itself. A lot of people are doing these, but it's not something not that I wouldn't expect Ecliptic to do it, but I didn't expect this to come across my my mailbox, so kind of excited to dive into it. What does it say here? It says, experimental IPA series. Vega is an IPA experimental hop playground for our curious and creative brewers to continuously source new and unique hops. Explore the boundaries of IPA style. The results is a fresh and distinctively brewed IPA with each new release. Now, you'll see this label almost certainly is just not going to change. Because if you read over here, and I kind of appreciate it because I wouldn't have looked, because a lot of times I won't. It says here, the batch number of this Vega IPA rotation is printed on the bottom of the can. I couldn't find an ABV, and lo and behold, on the bottom here we have, this was canned, 7 days ago. Vega IPA. It's a Vic Secret Strata Galaxy IPA coming at 6.5%. So I like all that information down there. Again, not that's unique to them. A lot of people do that, but you're talking about semi-big breweries, I don't know. I kind of like it. There you go. Looks like relatively clear beer, which has kind of got me kind of excited, to be perfectly honest with you. Clear beer alert is always a thing we appreciate here. That is pretty damn clear. So I'm getting a really kind of hot and bothered. You know what I mean? Label-wise, there's something about this label I really enjoy. It's Vega. It's a star. Whatever. I mean, I love what's that movie, Contact, where they go to Vega, the moon. It's Jodie Foster and who else is in it? I forget all the other people, but I love that movie. I got a soft spot for it. I don't know why, but it looks like it's printed on like a dot matrix printer. It's not. It's like a high-end label, but that's the way it looks. Something about that kind of does it for me. Anyway, what does that look like? That looks like Pilsner Lager Kolsch. That looks like new school crispy boy status, but old school IPA status. I mean, clear as could be. Really nice lacing. Already forming around the top. Soft carbonation. Hitting all the points of the new school. Let's get a nose. I mean, new school, old school, new school. It's almost like clear IPAs are becoming a new school, old school thing. You guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway. Words. Let's dive in. Okay. I have very, very, very high hopes for this beer because it is literally. I'm going to let you in a secret. It's not literally. But it's so explosive with like a tropical fruit melon, non-bittering citrus that it has me super excited. But here's the one caveat, and we'll reserve this for the taste, but I'll mention it now, is that I have had a couple of Ecliptic beers where they've been like mango this or some kind of fruit that, and it's come off very extracty, where they're kind of generating that flavor. And I'm almost certainly saying that those flavors came from some kind of extract and not from pure fruit. So I'm not saying that's the case here, but it's so beautiful, so vibrant, so oomph, that it's kind of got me a little bit kind of like, okay, this might be an extract fruit beer. But yeah, big explosive citrus hopped grapefruit, but none of it has any kind of bittering, big kind of tropical fruit to it, a little bit of soft peach. I mean, it's really just kind of raring to the edges of awesomeness with all that fruitiness with not a whole bunch of bittering on it. So let's just dive in, see what she's got. Cheers. I like that for a couple different reasons. One, 6.5%, not a huge beer. It's kind of where I hang my hat nowadays. I like my lower ABV beers. This drink's definitely below that weight class, though. It's not that explosive. From like a knee-jerk stance, it's not that explosive. You're sitting there drinking it going, okay, it definitely doesn't have that oomph, that 2x4 to the face you expect from a lot of new school kind of IPAs. It drinks more like 5%, but then it starts to creep up on you. You get this nice kind of bittering component. I mean, it gives you a nice pop of resinous bitterness while still getting that hit of that fruitiness on the first good portion of the beer. Now, it's not nearly as vibrant, at least in the fruit portion of things, as the nose would lead you to believe. It's there. It's giving you those gobs of fruit. It's definitely citrus leaning in a taste more than tropical fruitiness or anything like that. I'm definitely kind of getting more kind of generic kind of orange leaning citrus and just grapefruit, but it's all there. But what kind of comes in behind it is this kind of really nice, really vibrant, really aggressive kind of bitterness that is very much West Coast reminiscent without getting too piney resinous. It's more of like, it's definitely ranky-dank. It's a little bit of ranky-dank. It's definitely piney. It's definitely resinous, but it has a sharpness to it. Why am I trying to talk myself out of West Coast IPA? I don't know why I'm trying to do that. That's what it is. It ends up being kind of like an experimental West Coast IPA. In that sense, it's kind of bringing that old school West Coast kind of IPA vibe, but bringing a lot of new school hops into play in a clear beer. That kind of works because it gives you that beautiful nose, very vibrant and exciting up front. It follows through with a decent dollop of that in the taste, but doesn't get overly too ahead of itself. There's a little bit of sweetness, nothing too crazy, but it's immediately followed with a nice kind of aggressive bittering that definitely leans in that West Coast pininess and finishes with a decent amount of bitterness to make you want to go back for more. It is kind of textbook how you kind of want these beers to drink. If you're reading Randy Mosher like 15, 20 years ago, it's crisp, it's clean, it's well made, there's zero negativity to it. That whole kind of thing I was worried about being synthetic or kind of extracty, not even close to the case here. You're talking about a crisp, clean, well-made West Coast IPA that leans heavily into new school hop sensibilities. It just ends up being a really tasty, chuggable, delicious beer. I like this. I think this is awesome. I think it's a breath of fresh air. I think these are the kind of beers when I pick them up randomly off the shelf, because this beer's been had a couple times here and there from a lot of breweries, but not a lot of people make them. But they do, and then when you have one, at your first sip, when you see experimental and you see all the hops being listed off, you expect this kind of new schoolness, even though it is kind of clear. It just ends up being kind of the thing you wanted that you didn't know you needed in life, which is basically clear beer alert. And like I said, it ends up being kind of what I said at the beginning, which is kind of like a mistake, but at the same time it's not. It's like a new school, old school, new school, and old school. And by that I mean clear beers are so kind of old school that a lot of people are bringing them back around to be like they're now the new school thing. And I kind of like it. Not that I don't get down with my hazies. I love me some hazies, but yeah, I dig this. I think it's tasty. I think it's well done. I would buy this. Let's talk about it. Is it one of the better West Coast IPAs? Because that's what I'm going to rank it as. You know, that's what I'm going to call it, a West Coast IPA. Or let's just go IPAs. Let's just go IPA. Not hazy, just regular IPA. Is it one of the better ones I've had? Yeah. I mean, it might not be Mount Rushmore status. I think it does gain a little bit of extra bonus points for me, being the fact that it's clear beer and it's giving me a nice bittering, kind of bold bittering backbone to it. But it's quite tasty, and it's really well made, and it's really clean, crisp, and refreshing. And that in and of itself is pretty awesome. So take that for what it's worth. Value and availability, no idea, but I assume Ecliptic doesn't come in at a huge poopy price point. That would be my assumption. And leave you with, if you like what, will you like this? If you like West Coast IPA, you like a little bit of new school, East Coast sensibility, you like new school hops, you want a clean, crisp, refreshing package, this isn't going to be too shabby. You know, Ecliptic sent this to me, probably took about 4 or 5 days to get this, and it was a pretty warm weekend. No refrigeration, traveling cross country, and it held up pretty well, so it's one of your big selling points when it comes to a lot of these kind of like old school sensibility kind of clear beers. They tend to hold quite a bit better. So this is one of those beers where if you were to see it on the shelf and let's say it's a month old, I wouldn't hesitate picking it up. And that's kind of like the bonus when it comes to clear beer, your kind of shelf stability. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive. Want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little Ecliptic jam right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.